Hello everyone, myself Ketan Bhavsar, Assistant Professor in LG Engineering College, Ahmedabad. In today's session, we discuss about a network layer routing protocol in Internet of Things or in IoT. So, in previous session, we already discussed the different types of IoT protocol in terms of the link layer protocol. Now we discuss about a network layer routing protocol and how the network layer routing play an important role in Internet of Things. So let's start the today's session with a network layer routing protocol. Now, the network layer routing protocol. Discuss some standard and non-standard protocol that are used for the routing in IoT applications. So basically we are focusing on some routing protocols which play an important role. It should be noted that we have a participation, the network layer in two sublayers. So basically we are dividing our network layer into the two parts, routing layers and its capsule mechanism. Now the RPL, the first routing protocol, it's all about the RPL. What is RPL? RPL is a routing protocol for the low power and lossy network. It's the distance vector protocol that can support a variety of data link protocol. So basically it's used for the lossy and the low power applications. Mainly it's a basic characteristic of routing protocol. And the distance vector protocol that can support a variety of data link protocol. So destination oriented directed acyclic graph DODAGA that has only one route from each leaf node to the route in which all the traffic from the one node will be routed to. So at the first, each node sends the DODAG information on objects, DIO, and advertising itself as a route. So basically in this routing protocol, the node is self a property that initialize property by itself, that I am available in the routing protocol. If you want to communicate with me, then you can use our node or you can use my node. So this is a basic characteristic is all about a DODAG and RPL. This message is propagated in the network and the whole DODAG is gradually built. When the communication, the node send a destination advertising object means DOA to the parent, the DO is propagated to the root and the root decides where to send it depends on the destination. So basically this message is propagated from the starting point to the ending point and it's discussed about the DODAG, that how the data is actually communicated. When the new node wants to join the network, it sends a DODAG information solicitations with DIS and request to join the network to the root and will reply back when the DOG means acknowledgement signals when DOA acknowledgement confirming to join, then RPL node can be stateless, which is the most common or stateful. So a stateless node keeps the track of the parents only. So basically with help of the acknowledgement based signal we can start communicating and the base of the start communication the data is actually handshaking. Only root has the complete knowledge of the entire DODAG, hence all the communication go through the root in every case. So a stateful node keeps the track on its children and parents, and hence when the communication inside a subtree of the DODAG, it does not have to go through the root. So basically in this type of the node configuration, it plays an important role when you want to communicate with other node. So basically the DODAG is playing an important role. If the root have a complete idea about the DODAG, then it will start a communication. Now next is the CORPL. Extension of RPL is a CORPL or a cognitive RPL, which is designed for the cognitive network and use a DODAG topology generate, but with a two new modification to RPL. So we can say that CORPL is an advanced version of RPL because it adds the cognitive radio in RPL. So CORPL is utilization and opportunistic forwarding to forward the package by choosing the multiple forwarders and coordinates between the node to choose the best next hop to forward the package. So DO/DOG it's built in the same way as RPL. Each node maintains the forwarding set instant of its parents only and updates its neighbor with its change using DIO messages. Based on the updated information, each node dynamically updates its neighbor properties in order to construct the forwarded set. So, channel aware routing protocol CARP is a distributed routing protocol that used in the communication channel. Now, what is CARP? That the question arises in our mind. See, in terms of the RPL and CORPL is totally follow the DOIG capacity or the DOIG based routing propagation channel. Now, CARP is a channel awareness routing protocol. Is distributed routing protocol is designed for underwater communication. See, this is a very important thing, and this protocol is play a very important role when you want to communicate in underwater applications. Like right now, the machine learning, data science are a huge field, and the people are using that concept. Now, if you go with channel awareness routing protocol, if you go with the CARP like routing protocols, now it's play a huge role. It's play an important role to communicate underwater appliances, underwater some resources. You want to take the data from submarine, if you want to take the data of underwater fishes and the multiple things, then this routing protocol is play an important role. It can be used for the IoT due to its lightweight package. It considers the link quality, which is computed based on the historical successful data transmission gathered from the neighboring sensors to select the forwarding node. So this routing protocol is play an important role to allow of specific data only. There are two types of scenario: the network initialization and data forwarding. In the network initialization, a hello packet is broadcast from the sink to all other nodes in the network. So it just sends the hello messages to all the nodes. In data forwarding, the packet is routed from the sensor to sink the hope by hope fashion. So it will start the communication hope by hope. So in network layer, as we already discussed, it is divided in two categories. First, it's talking about a data link layer and the data layer, and second one is talking about the inscriptional protocol. So in the first part, as you can see, we discussed about 3.1 CARP and CORPL and RPL. Now in the next, we discuss about a network layer inscriptional protocol. One problem in the IoT application is the IPv6 address are too long and cannot be fit into most of the IoT data link frames, which are relatively much smaller. Hence, the IETF is developed set standard to inscriptional the IPv6 datagram in different data link layer frames and use the IoT applications. In this session, we review this mechanism briefly. See, basically, right now, we all know the technology is moving from IPv4 to IPv6. Now, if we move from IPv4 to IPv6, then we are facing too many challenges because the data link length, the length of the IPv6, the weight of the IPv6, the security of IPv6, and a number of things. So, in this layer or in this protocol, we discuss about this IPv4/6 and how we can solve this problem. So, in this type of the protocol, we have 6 up to 5 different types of protocol. 6 low PAN, 6 PISCH, 6 LO, IPv6 over G9959, and IPv6 over BLE, means Bluetooth Low Energy. Now, what is 6 low PAN? IPv6 over the low power wireless personal area network. It's a 6 LOWPAN. Is the first and the most commonly used standard in this country. This efficiency exclusion IPv6 long header in IEEE 802.15.4 small package, which cannot be exceed 128 bytes. So this is basically the first and most commonly used protocol. The specification supporting the different length addresses, low bandwidth, different topologies, including star or mesh, power consumption, low cost, scalable network, mobility, unreliability, and the long sleep time. So these are the different types of factors, different types of the things we're talking about a 6-low PAN. The standard provides a header compression to reduce the transmission overhead, fragmentation to meet the 128 bytes maximum frame length in IEEE 802.15.4 and support the multi-hop diversity. So frame in the 6LOWPAN use of 4 types of headers. No 6LOWPAN is a header 00, dispatch header 01, mesh header 10 and the fragmentation header 11. So basically if you're talking about the 6LOWPAN, then the header and the communication is possible in the 4 way. So basically the communication is divided into the 4 parts and then start the communication. In no 6LOWPAN header case, any frame that does not follow the 6LOWPAN specification is discarded. Dispatch header is used for the multicasting and IPv6 header compression. So basically dispatch is used to compress the IPv6. Mesh header are used for the broadcasting, while the fragmentation header are used to break the long IPv6 header into the fragmentation to maximize the 128 byte length. So basically in terms of 6LOWPAN, we divide it into the four parts. So as you can see in the header case, these are the different tasks about the header one. Now talking about the dispatch task. The dispatch task with multicasting the IPv6 header. In mesh header we use a broadcasting, and while in terms of the fragmentation we divide it or we fit the header into the 128 byte length. 6TISCH. 6TISCH is working with the IETF, is a developing standard to allow IPv6 to pass to the time-slotted channel hopping mode of IEEE 802.15.4e data loop. So basically this protocol is used to communicate and to pass the time-slotted channel hopping. It defines a channel distribution use is a matrix and consisting of available frequency in columns and the time slot available for network scheduling operation in rows. So basically the data is divided into the 2 categories. Some of the category which is related to the scheduling mechanism in terms of the time slotted, in terms of the column and row operation. This matrix is portioned into the chunks where each chunks containing the time and the frequency and is globally known to all the node in the network. So the node within the same interfaces domain, it's negotiate their schedule so that each node get to transmit in the chunks within its interface domain. So basically in this type of the matrix, the data is divided into the chunks and each chunks are worked in terms of the time and frequency domain and try to communicate with each other. Scheduling became an optimized problem where the time slots are assigned to the group of the neighbor node and sharing the same applications. The standard does not specify how the scheduling can be done and leave that to be an application specific problem in order to allow for the maximum flexibility for different IoT applications. So basically in terms of TISCH, we have to work on the scheduling mechanism to optimize the time slot and the frequency operation. 6LO. IPv6 over the network of resource contained node. IPv6, it's a 6LO. It's a working group in IETF is developed set of a standard of the transmission of IPv6 frame on the various data links. Although 6LOPAN and 6TISCH which cover the IEEE 802.15.4 and IEEE 802.15.4e were developed by the different working groups, it became clear that there are many more data links to be covered, and so 6LO is working the group we formed. So basically as we see in the previous slide, we work on 6LOPAN and 6TISCH. It working on IEEE 802.15.4 and 15.4e. we have a different of framework and data link. So we have to consider the 6 LO blocking mechanism. Now next is IPv6 over G.9959. RFC 7.28 is defined the frame format for transmitting the IPv6 package on ITU to T.9959 network or G.9959. It defines a unique 32-bit home network identifier, and that is assigned by the controller and 8-bit host identifier that is allowed for each node. And IPv6 linked local address must be constructed by the link layer derived 8-bit host identifier so that it can be compressed in 6 point or G.9959 frame. So basically we're talking about the G.9959 and then it is talking about the 32-bit home network identifier and it starts with the 8-bit concept. So furthermore, the same header compressor as in 6LoWPAN is used here to fit an IPv6 packet into the G.9959 frames. RFC 7428 also provides a level of security by a shared network key that is used for encryption. Similarly, we're talking about the IPv6 over the BLE. We discuss IPv6 over G.9959, which is specifically designed for the home network. It's a BLE. Bluetooth Low Energy is also known as a BLE or Bluetooth Smart and was introduced in Bluetooth V4.0 and enhanced in V4.1. RFC 7668 or RFC 7668, which specify the IPv6 over the Bluetooth Blue or Low Energy, is reduced most of the 6LoWPAN compression technique. However, since the logical link control and the adaptation protocol L2CAP is a sub-layer in the Bluetooth already provided into the 27-byte L2CAP package, and the fragmentation feature for the 6LoWPAN standard are not used. So basically, the BLE is one of the most commonly and the most popular protocol that we use in the vehicle communication, or we can say that in the inside the vehicle for operating the appliances. So it works very efficiently. And another significant difference is the BLE does not currently support the information of multi-hop network and the link layer. So instead, the center node acts as a router between the lower power peripheral nodes. So basically, you can communicate with only P2P or 1-to-1. So I hope that you are getting the idea about the network layer protocol or network layer routing protocol in IoT. Still, if you have any doubt which is related to the network layer routing protocol, then you can feel free to ask me. So thank you for watching.